The Los Angeles evening unfurled like a scene from a classic Hollywood film, the kind where the city itself feels like a character, vibrant, restless, and full of secrets. It was late November, and the air carried a crisp chill, hovering around 50 degrees, a rarity for a city more accustomed to sun-soaked days than sweater weather. Just a mile from the iconic Hollywood Walk of Fame, where stars embedded in the sidewalk gleamed under the glow of streetlights. The boulevard pulsed with life. Neon signs flickered above trendy boutiques and upscale restaurants, casting a kaleidoscope of pinks, blues, and yellows across the wet pavement, still slick from an earlier drizzle. The distant strum of a busker's guitar, a soulful rendition of a Tom Petty song, mingled with the low hum of traffic and the chatter of holiday shoppers weaving through the crowd, their arms laden with bags from nearby stores. It was the kind of night that felt alive, electric with the promise of the season. As Los Angeles geared up for Thanksgiving and the festive lights of Christmas began to twinkle along the streets. Keanu Reeves stepped out of a chic restaurant, its glass facade reflecting the city's glow like a polished mirror. The establishment, a favorite among Hollywood's elite, buzzed with the clink of wine glasses and the murmur of exclusive conversations. But Keanu, ever the anomaly in this world of glitz, carried a quiet demeanor that set him apart. At 61, his salt and pepper beard and unassuming leather jacket made him look more like a thoughtful wanderer than a global superstar. His eyes, often described as carrying a gentle melancholy, scanned the street as he adjusted his scarf against the evening's chill. He had just shared a dinner with friends, their laughter and stories about upcoming projects still lingering in his mind. Yet, as he stepped onto the sidewalk, his thoughts drifted to quieter moments, memories of his own childhood, marked by constant moves across cities and countries, and the ache of losing his father at a young age. Those years of instability, of feeling like an outsider in a world that moved too fast, had shaped him, leaving a reservoir of empathy he carried like a hidden scar. Amid the festive bustle, something caught his eye, pulling him out of his reverie. On a tattered blanket spread across the sidewalk, just a few feet from the restaurant's entrance, sat a young girl. She couldn't have been more than 13, her small frame dwarfed by a faded hoodie, 2 sizes too big, its sleeves fraying at the cuffs. Her name, though Keanu didn't know it yet, was Emma. Her dark hair fell in uneven strands across her face, and her eyes, shadowed with exhaustion, held a guarded intensity that seemed out of place in someone so young. In her hands, she clutched a handwritten sign, scrawled on a piece of cardboard torn from a box. "Help my dog, please." The words, simple yet desperate, stood in stark contrast to the opulence around her, the glittering storefronts, the polished cars idling at the curb, the holiday wreaths adorning nearby lampposts. To the passers-by, Emma was nearly invisible, just another figure on the margins of the city's glamour. They hurried past, their eyes averted, their steps quickening as if her presence was a reminder of a reality they'd rather ignore. Keanu paused, his breath catching in the cool air. Something about Emma, the way her shoulders hunched against the world, the quiet resolve in her grip on the sign, struck a chord deep within him. He remembered nights from his own youth, sleeping on friends' couches, uncertain where the next meal would come from, feeling like the world didn't see him. Those memories, though distant, were never far from the surface, and they stirred now, urging him to act. Unlike the crowd that flowed around her like a river parting around a stone, Keanu couldn't look away. The sign's plea for her dog hinted at a story far heavier than a child should bear, and he felt an instinctive pull to understand it. His fame, his wealth, his carefully guarded privacy, all of it faded in that moment, leaving only a man who knew what it was to feel lost and alone. He took a step closer, his boots scuffing softly on the pavement, and crouched down to her level, his knees brushing the edge of her blanket. The busker's guitar faded into the background, and the city's noise seemed to hush, as if the world had narrowed to this small patch of sidewalk. "Hey," he said gently, his voice warm and steady. "Are you okay?" Emma's head snapped up, her eyes wide with surprise, as if she hadn't expected anyone to notice her, let alone speak to her. Her lips parted, but her voice came out faint, barely above a whisper. I just need help," she said, her words trembling like the last leaves on a winter branch. "It's urgent." Keanu studied her face, noting the mix of fear and determination in her expression. There was a weight to her silence, a story she wasn't ready to share, and it piqued his curiosity, even as it tugged at his heart. He glanced at the sign again, the word dog written in a shaky hand, and wondered what kind of bond could drive a child to sit alone in the cold, begging for help. "What do you need the money for?" he asked, keeping his tone soft, not wanting to push too hard. Emma's gaze dropped to the ground, her fingers tightening around the cardboard. She didn't answer, her silence heavy with unspoken pain, and Keanu sensed that whatever she was protecting was more than just a pet. It was a lifeline. The holiday crowd surged around them, some casting curious glances at the famous actor kneeling on the sidewalk. But Keanu ignored them. He thought of a moment from his childhood in Toronto, when a kind neighbor had slipped him a warm meal during a particularly rough week. That small act had been a beacon, a reminder that kindness could pierce even the darkest times. Now, looking at Emma, he felt that same instinct, to be someone's beacon. "If it's that urgent," he said, his voice calm but resolute, "maybe I can help." Emma's eyes flicked up to meet his, a flicker of hope battling the distrust that had settled into her features. In that moment, Keanu knew this encounter was about to change everything, not just for her, but for him too. Keanu Reeves knelt on the damp Hollywood sidewalk, his eyes level with Emma's. The 13-year-old girl whose cardboard sign, "Help my dog," please, had stopped him in his tracks. The Los Angeles night, crisp at 50-degree force, wrapped around them, the distant strum of a busker's guitar fading into the hum of holiday shoppers a mile from the Walk of Fame. Emma's guarded expression, her hazel eyes flickering with a mix of fear and resolve, reminded Keanu of his own childhood, those lonely nights in Toronto, shuffled between homes, yearning for someone to see him. "What's wrong with your dog?" he asked softly, his voice cutting through the city's din like a warm beacon. Emma clutched her sign tighter, her knuckles pale against the worn cardboard. "He's sick," she whispered, her voice so faint it nearly dissolved into the chilly air. "I need money to save him." Her hesitation, the way her gaze darted to the ground, hinted at a deeper story she wasn't ready to share. Keanu's curiosity deepened, but so did his empathy. Her desperation echoed the quiet ache he'd felt as a kid, invisible to a world too busy to care. Unlike the passers-by who sidestepped her blanket, their eyes fixed on their phones or the glittering holiday displays, Keanu couldn't walk away. He glanced at the neon signs across the street, one catching his eye, a diner with a glowing, "Open 24 hours" sign, its red letters promising warmth and refuge. "Have you eaten tonight?" he asked. Emma shook her head, her tangled hair falling over her face. "Come on, then," Keanu said, standing and gesturing toward the diner, just 200 feet away. "Let's get you something warm." "It's too cold out here." Emma hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with the frayed strap of her backpack, as if weighing the risk of trusting a stranger, even one whose face she might have recognized from movie posters. After a moment, she nodded, gathering her blanket and sign, and followed him across the street, her sneakers scuffing the pavement. The diner was a slice of classic Americana, its chrome-trimmed counter and vinyl booths bathed in the soft glow of fluorescent lights. The smell of fresh coffee and sizzling burgers filled the air, mingling with the faint jingle of a holiday playlist, Bing Crosby's White Christmas, playing low on the jukebox. Keanu chose a quiet booth in the corner, away from the late-night regulars nursing their coffees. A waitress, her name tag reading Rosa, slid two menus across the table with a warm smile. Hot chocolate and two grilled cheese sandwiches, Keanu ordered, glancing at Emma, who nodded shyly. As they waited, he leaned forward, his hands clasped. "So, tell me about your dog. What's his name?" Emma's eyes softened, a flicker of warmth breaking through her guarded demeanor. "His name's Max," she said, her voice steadier now. "He's a beagle, small, with big brown eyes. My mom, she trained him to be a therapy dog." Her words faltered, and she stared at the table, tracing a scratch in the formica with her finger. Keanu waited, sensing the weight behind her pause. "My mom was a veterinarian," Emma continued, her voice trembling. "2 years ago, my parents, they died in a car accident. I was waiting at school, thinking they'd pick me up, but—" She swallowed hard, her eyes glistening. "Max is all I have left of them. He helps me when things get heavy." Keanu's heart clenched. He knew that kind of loss, the way it carved a hollow space that never quite filled. "I'm so sorry, Emma," he said, his voice low and sincere. "That's more than anyone your age should have to carry." He thought of his own father's absence, the long days when his mother worked double shifts, leaving him to navigate the world alone. "Max sounds like he's really special to you." Emma nodded, wrapping her hands around the steaming mug of hot chocolate Rosa delivered. "He is. Mom said he could sense when I was sad or scared. I get panic attacks sometimes, and Max, he'd curl up next to me, and it's like he knew how to make it better." Her voice cracked, and she looked away, toward the diner's window where holiday lights twinkled across the street. "But he's sick now. He hasn't eaten in days, and he's so weak. I think it's something bad, like he ate something he shouldn't have." Keanu leaned forward, his concern deepening. "Do you know what's wrong with him?" Emma's eyes lit up with a spark of knowledge, a vestige of her mother's teachings. "Mom taught me to watch for signs," she said. "Max is throwing up, and his stomach's hard." She used to talk about blockages when animals swallow something like plastic or string. "I think that's what it is, but I can't fix it myself." Her voice broke, and she clutched her backpack tighter. "I need money for a vet, but no one stops to help. They just walk by." Keanu's jaw tightened. The image of Emma, alone on the sidewalk, begging for Max's life while the world ignored her, stirred a protective instinct. "Where are you staying now?" he asked gently. Emma's gaze dropped again. "With my aunt, Lisa," she said. "She took me in after everything, but she's struggling. Our apartment's tiny, maybe 400 square feet, and she can't pay rent. She got an eviction notice 3 days, and we're out. She says Max is too much, that she might have to give him up. And if she can't keep me, social services, they'll put me in a group home." Her voice trembled with the weight of the 72-hour deadline, her future hanging by a thread. Keanu felt a surge of resolve. Emma's fear, her fierce love for Max, and the looming threat of losing her home mirrored the instability he'd known as a kid. He couldn't let her face this alone. "We're going to help Max," he said firmly, meeting her eyes. "And we'll figure out the rest together." Emma looked up, her expression a mix of disbelief and fragile hope. The diner's warmth, the clink of dishes, and the faint holiday melody seemed to fade, leaving only the promise of a stranger's kindness in a city that had turned its back on her. The Los Angeles diner, bathed in the warm glow of fluorescent lights, felt like a sanctuary against the 50-degree F chill outside. The jukebox hummed with a soft rendition of Jingle Bell Rock, a nod to the approaching Thanksgiving weekend, while the scent of grilled cheese sandwiches and brewing coffee enveloped the booth, where Keanu Reeves and Emma sat. Emma, the 13-year-old with a faded hoodie and guarded eyes, sipped her hot chocolate, her hands trembling slightly as she warmed them around the mug. Keanu, his leather jacket draped over the booth's edge, leaned forward, his calm presence a steady anchor. The weight of Emma's earlier words, her parents' death, Max's illness, the looming eviction hung in the air, urging him to dig deeper. He thought of a high school teacher in Toronto who had once seen his potential amidst his chaotic childhood, slipping him books and encouragement when he felt invisible. That memory fueled his resolve to be that light for Emma now. "Tell me more about Max," Keanu said gently, his voice cutting through the diner's ambient clatter of dishes and chatter. Emma's eyes softened, a faint smile breaking through her worry. "He's a beagle, small, maybe 15 pounds, she said, her voice steadier. "He's got these big brown eyes that make you feel like he understands everything. Mom trained him to be a therapy dog for me. When I get panic attacks, when it feels like the world's closing in, Max lies next to me, and his breathing, it's like it pulls me back." Her fingers traced the rim of her mug, and Keanu nodded, recognizing the lifeline Max represented. "My mom was a vet," Emma continued. "She taught me how to watch animals, to see when something's wrong. Max hasn't eaten in 3 days. He's weak, throwing up, and his stomach's hard. I think he ate something bad, like a piece of plastic. Mom called it a blockage once, when she saved a neighbor's dog." Keanu was struck by Emma's knowledge, a spark of her mother's legacy shining through her grief. "That's incredible, Emma," he said. "You've got a sharp eye, just like her." Emma's cheeks flushed, but her expression darkened. "It's not enough," she said, her voice dropping. "My aunt, Lisa, says Max is too much trouble. She's barely keeping us in our apartment. It's only 400 square feet. And she got an eviction notice. She wants to give Max to a shelter, and I can't lose him. He's all I have left of Mom and Dad." Her words carried the weight of a child facing a world unraveling, and Keanu felt a surge of protectiveness, his own memories of instability moving from city to city, couch to couch resurfacing. As Emma spoke, her fingers fidgeted with a napkin, absent-mindedly sketching. Keanu glanced at it, noticing intricate lines forming a beagle's face, Max, captured with striking detail, his soulful eyes almost leaping off the paper. "Wow," Keanu said, leaning closer. "You drew that, it's amazing." Emma froze, as if caught, then shrugged. "I used to draw with Mom. She said it helped me stay calm. I just do it sometimes." The napkin, now a small masterpiece, hinted at a talent buried beneath her struggles, a glimmer of potential Keanu recognized as a lifeline of its own. "That's more than just sometimes," he said with a smile. "You've got something special there." The moment was interrupted by Rosa, the waitress, delivering their sandwiches, the golden crusts steaming. But Emma's words about Max's condition gnawed at Keanu. "We need to get Max to a vet. Now," he said, his tone firm but kind. Emma's eyes widened. "He's in my backpack," she admitted, gesturing to the worn bag at her feet. "I hid him in an alley nearby. I didn't want Lisa to find him." Keanu's heart raced. Time was critical. "Let's go get him," he said, standing. They left the diner, the neon open 24-hour sign glowing behind them, and hurried 200 feet to a narrow alley where Emma retrieved a small basket. Inside, Max lay curled up, his frail body barely moving, his faint whimper piercing the night. Keanu hailed a taxi, and they sped 2 miles to a 24-hour veterinary clinic in West Hollywood. Its sign, a beacon in the dark. Inside, the sterile scent of antiseptic contrasted with the diner's warmth, and a kind receptionist ushered them to Dr. Sarah Nguyen, a veterinarian with a calm, focused demeanor. Emma carefully lifted Max from the basket, his small frame trembling. Dr. Nguyen examined him, her brow furrowing. "He's severely dehydrated, and there's definitely a blockage in his digestive system," she said. "He needs surgery tonight. It's a delicate procedure, and it'll cost several $1,000s." Emma's face crumpled, her hands clutching her backpack. "I don't have that," she whispered, tears welling. Keanu placed a hand on her shoulder. "I've got it covered," he said without hesitation. "Let's save Max." Emma's eyes met his, a mix of disbelief and gratitude shimmering through her tears. As Dr. Nguyen prepared for the 3-hour surgery, Keanu and Emma waited in the clinic's small lobby, the clock ticking past midnight. The tension was palpable, but a familiar face appeared. Maria, a diner regular who had overheard their conversation earlier, a retired teacher with a warm smile. She approached. "I heard about your dog," she said to Emma. "You're a brave kid. I know a youth arts program in L. that could use talent like yours. Those sketches are something else." Emma blushed, and Keanu nodded, grateful for the unexpected ally. Maria's offer planted a seed of hope, a reminder of the community support that could lift Emma beyond this crisis. As they waited, Keanu reflected on his teacher's kindness years ago, how it had given him the courage to chase his dreams. He looked at Emma, clutching her napkin sketch, and knew this was about more than saving Max. It was about giving her a chance to shine. The surgery's outcome loomed, but Keanu felt a growing resolve to see Emma through, no matter what lay ahead. The fluorescent lights of the West Hollywood Veterinary Clinic buzzed softly, casting a sterile glow over the small lobby where Keanu Reeves and Emma sat, their eyes fixed on the clock ticking past 2 a.m. The Los Angeles night outside, still crisp at 50°, seemed to hold its breath as they awaited news of Max, Emma's beagle, who had just undergone a 3-hour surgery for an intestinal blockage. Emma, the 13-year-old whose faded hoodie and guarded eyes had drawn Keanu's empathy hours earlier, clutched her backpack, her fingers tracing the outline of the napkin where she'd sketched Max's soulful face. Keanu, his leather jacket slung over a chair, sat beside her, his calm presence an anchor amidst her anxiety. He thought of his own childhood in Toronto, the teacher who had seen him through dark days, and felt a deepening resolve to be that same lifeline for Emma, whose world hung in the balance of a 72-hour eviction notice and the threat of a group home. Dr. Sarah Nguyen emerged from the exam room, her expression cautious but hopeful. "The surgery was successful," she said, and Emma exhaled, her shoulders sagging with relief. "We removed a piece of plastic blocking Max's digestive system. He's stable, but he'll need intensive care for at least a week, IV fluids, a special diet, and rest." Emma's relief gave way to worry, her voice trembling. "What happens when he's better?" "My aunt, Lisa, won't let him come back to our apartment. It's only 400 square feet, and we're getting evicted in 3 days." Her eyes, brimming with tears, met Keanu's. "I can't lose him. He's all I have left of my parents." Keanu placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, his mind racing. "We'll figure it out, Emma," he said firmly. "Max is coming home with you, and you're not going back to that uncertainty." He pulled out his phone and called a contact at Hope Haven, a Los Angeles nonprofit he'd supported for years, known for aiding at-risk youth. Within an hour, they arranged a temporary 600-square-foot apartment in a quiet La Peur neighborhood, A cozy space with a small patio where Max could recover. The apartment, a stark contrast to Lisa's cramped, unstable home, offered a safe haven, its walls adorned with simple holiday decorations, a wreath, a string of Christmas lights reflecting the season's promise of renewal. Emma's eyes widened as they arrived, her fingers brushing the patio's wooden railing. "This is for us," she whispered, clutching Max's empty basket. As Max rested at the clinic, Keanu and Emma settled into the apartment, but her worries lingered. "What if Lisa doesn't want me back, or Max?" she asked, her voice small. Keanu knelt to her level, his voice steady. "You're not alone anymore. We'll make sure you and Max have a home." The next day, Maria, the diner regular who had overheard their story, visited with a warm smile. A retired teacher with a passion for community. She brought a flyer for a local youth arts program. "I saw your sketch of Max," Maria said to Emma. "You've got real talent. This program could be a great place for you to shine." Emma blushed, her napkin drawing now tucked into her backpack like a treasure. Keanu nodded, seeing a spark of possibility. "Let's check it out," he said. Sensing the program could offer Emma more than just a distraction, it could be a path forward. Over the next week, as Max grew stronger, gaining back a pound of his 15-pound frame, Emma joined the arts program at a community center 1 mile from their temporary home. Her sketches, vivid portraits of animals, and memories of her parents caught the eye of the program director, who invited her to submit a piece for a youth art exhibition scheduled for early December, just before the holidays. Keanu, inspired by Emma's resilience, became her mentor, spending evenings helping her refine a painting, a vibrant canvas depicting Max curled beside her parents' silhouettes, a tribute to their love. "This is beautiful, Emma," Keanu said, watching her blend colors under the center's fluorescent lights. "It's like you're telling their story." Emma's eyes shone. "It's for them, and Max." He kept me going. The exhibition, held in a downtown a gallery adorned with holiday garlands, was a triumph. Emma's painting, displayed under soft spotlights, drew gasps from the crowd. A local art school representative, moved by her talent and story, offered her a scholarship to their summer program, a chance to study art professionally. Emma, overwhelmed, hugged Keanu, her tears soaking his jacket. "You believed in me," she whispered. Keanu smiled, his heart full. "You believed in yourself first." Inspired by Emma's journey, Keanu launched Max's Light, a fund through Hope Haven to support homeless youth and their pets, announced during a holiday fundraiser under L's twinkling Christmas lights. "One act of kindness can change everything," he told the crowd. Emma standing proudly beside him. The fund aimed to provide veterinary care and housing support, resonating with the season's spirit of giving. Days later, Hope Haven connected Emma and Max with a foster family in Pasadena, passionate about animals and art. Their home, a 200-square-foot bungalow with a backyard for Max to roam, offered the stability Emma craved. As she unpacked her sketches, Max curled up beside her, his tail wagging for the first time in weeks. "This feels like home," Emma said, her voice steady with hope. Keanu watched her settle in, reflecting on how a chance encounter had transformed them both. Emma's courage and Max's survival reminded him of the teacher who had once given him hope. And he knew this was only the beginning of her story. The Los Angeles spring sun bathed Griffith Park in a golden glow. Its rolling hills and blooming jacaranda trees, a vibrant backdrop to the community art exhibition held in a sleek gallery just half a mile away. It was May 20th, 2025, and the air, a balmy 65 degrees F, carried the scent of fresh-cut grass and the faint hum of families enjoying the park's trails. Inside the gallery, Soft spotlights illuminated rows of colorful canvases, each a testament to the creativity of Los Angeles youth. Keanu Reeves stood quietly near the back, his leather jacket swapped for a simple black sweater, his eyes fixed on a painting that seemed to radiate light. The canvas, bold and heartfelt, depicted a small beagle, Max, curled beside the shadowy outlines of a man and woman, their faces blurred but brimming with love. The artist was Emma, the 13-year-old girl whose desperate plea for help on a Hollywood sidewalk 6 months earlier had changed both their lives. Emma, now 14, stood beside her painting, her once tattered hoodie replaced by a clean denim jacket, her dark hair tied back to reveal eyes that sparkled with newfound confidence. Her journey from that cold November night, when temperatures dipped to 50 degrees and she sat alone with a cardboard sign, felt like a lifetime ago. Max, her therapy dog, had survived a life-threatening intestinal blockage, thanks to Keanu's generosity in covering the costly surgery. The nonprofit Hope Haven had secured a temporary 600-square-foot apartment, and Maria, the kind-hearted diner regular, had connected Emma to a youth arts program that uncovered her extraordinary talent. Her painting, a tribute to her late parents and Max, had won a scholarship to a prestigious art school, setting her on a path to a brighter future. Now, as gallery visitors murmured in admiration, Emma caught Keanu's eye and walked over, her steps steady, but her expression soft with gratitude. "You gave me and Max a future when I thought we had none," she said, her voice clear but trembling with emotion. She glanced at Max, who sat nearby in the gallery's courtyard, his 15-pound frame healthy and his tail wagging as he basked in the spring sun. "I didn't think anyone would care, but you did." Keanu's heart swelled, his usual stoic demeanor softening. "You're the one who kept fighting." "Emma," he replied, his voice warm. "Your strength, your love for Max, that's what carried you through." He thought of his own childhood, the loneliness of moving across cities, the absence of his father, and how a teacher's kindness had once given him hope. Emma's resilience, her ability to create beauty from pain, reminded him that even the smallest spark of kindness could ignite a life. As they spoke, Keanu's thoughts drifted to his journal, a private refuge where he'd long recorded moments that shaped him. Later that evening, in the quiet of his Hollywood home, he would write, "Kindness is a spark that lights up lives, hers, mine, and everyone we touch. Emma taught me that courage and love can shine through the darkest times, and helping her helped me find purpose again." The words captured the profound lesson of their journey that compassion, when shared, creates a ripple effect, transforming not just one life, but an entire community. Emma's painting, now a centerpiece of the exhibition, was more than art. It was a testament to survival, a bridge between her past and her future. Max, now thriving, embodied that resilience. At the foster home in Pasadena, a cozy 200-square-foot bungalow with a backyard bursting with spring wildflowers, he roamed freely, his therapy training still a comfort to Emma during moments of anxiety. The foster family, a couple passionate about animals and art, had welcomed Emma and Max with open arms, offering the stability her Aunt Lisa couldn't provide. Lisa, struggling in her cramped 400-square-foot apartment, had agreed to the arrangement, relieved to see Emma safe. The foster parents, inspired by Emma's talent, had enrolled her in art classes, nurturing her dream of becoming an artist who could honor her parents' memory through her work. Keanu's impact extended beyond Emma. Inspired by her courage, he had launched Max's Light, a fund through Hope Haven to support homeless youth and their pets. Announced during a holiday fundraiser under L.A.'s twinkling Christmas lights, the initiative had grown, raising thousands to provide veterinary care, housing, and mentorship. At the exhibition, A Max's Light booth stood near the entrance, its volunteers sharing stories of youth like Emma finding hope. The fund's success, especially during the holiday season, resonated with Angelenos, tapping into the American spirit of giving back. Keanu, speaking briefly at the event, said, "Emma showed me that one act of kindness can change everything. Let's keep that spark alive." The crowd applauded, moved by the story of a girl and her dog, transformed by a stranger's compassion. The lessons of Emma's journey were profound. Resilience can bloom in the face of loss. Community can lift those who feel invisible. And creativity can heal wounds. For Keanu, helping Emma had rekindled his own sense of purpose, reminding him that fame was a tool to make a difference. For Emma, it was a lesson in trust that the world, though often cruel, held people who cared. And for the community, Max's Light was a call to action, a reminder that small gestures, whether a donation, a kind word, or a moment of attention, could spark hope. As the exhibition closed, Emma handed Keanu a small sketch, a miniature of Max's face, her thank you etched in pencil. "This is for you," she said, her smile shy but genuine. Keanu tucked it into his pocket, a keepsake of their bond. To the readers who've followed this story, thank you for joining us on this journey of compassion and resilience. Your support, whether through subscribing, sharing, or simply believing in stories like Emma's, keeps this spark alive. This spring, as flowers bloom across Los Angeles, find a way to share kindness in your community. Visit a local shelter, mentor a young artist, or simply listen to someone who feels unseen. Together, we can light up lives, just as Emma and Max have done.